All right, beautiful people. Happy Monday. All right, y'all. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday, Tony. Oh, you're not late today. Tony J. Shalom. Shayla. Hey, girl. Hey, LaVon. Blessings. All right, y'all. Today it is August the 9th, 2021, day 228 of year 3 of reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 3-year consecutive day count, day 897. Today, y'all, we're reading Ezekiel 10, 11, and 12. And then we're picking up on Fossilized Customs where we left off at yesterday on page 294. Look at Nathaniel. Peaceful greetings. Peaceful greetings. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get started with the Shema. Good day, Nikki. Hey, girl. Hey. All right, y'all. Shema. Remember, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6. We start at verse 3. Remember, read the whole chapter. I just pulled out the gist of everything, right? Okay. Hear, therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one. And you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our mighty one, as he has commanded us. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and pull this out. Ezekiel chapter 10. All right. Okay, y'all. Yahuwah's glory leaves the temple. In my vision, I saw what appeared to be a throne of blue lapis lazuli above the crystal surface over the heads of the cherubim. Then Yahuwah spoke to the man in linen clothing and said, "Go between the whirling wheels beneath the cherubim and take a handful of burning coals and scatter them over the city." He did this as I watched. The cherubim were standing at the south end of the temple when the man went in, and the cloud of glory filled the inner court. Then the glory of Yahuwah rose up from above the cherubim and went over to the entrance of the temple. The temple was filled with this cloud of glory, and the courtyard glowed brightly with the glory of Yahuwah. The moving wings of the cherubim sounded like the voice of Yahuwah Almighty and could be heard even in the outer courtyard. Yahuwah said to the man in the linen clothing, "Go between the cherubim and take some burning coals from between the wheels." So the man went in and stood beside one of the wheels. Then one of the cherubim reached out his hand and took some live coals from the burning fire among them. He put the coals into the hands of the man in linen clothing, and the man took them and went out. All the cherubim had what looked like human hands under human wings. I looked at each of the 4 cherubim and had a wheel beside them, and the wheels sparkled like beryl. All 4 wheels looked alike and were made the same. Each wheel had a second wheel turning crosswise within it. The cherubim could move in any of the four directions they faced without turning as they moved. They went straight in the direction they faced, never turning aside. Both the cherubim and the wheels were covered with eyes. The cherubim had eyes all over their bodies, including in their hands, their backs, and their wings. I heard someone refer to the wheels as the whirling wheels. Each of the four cherubim had four faces. The first was the face of an ox. The second was a human face. The third was the face of a lion. And the fourth was the face of an eagle. Then the cherubim rose upward. These were the same living beings I had seen beside the Kibar River. When the cherubim moved, the wheels moved with them. When they lifted their wings to fly, the wheels stayed beside them. When the cherubim stopped, the wheels stopped. When they flew upward, the wheels rose up, for the spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. Then the glory of Yahuwah moved out from the entrance of the temple and hovered above the cherubim. And as I watched, the cherubim flew with their wheels to the east gate of Yahuwah's temple, and the glory of Yahuwah, the God of Israel, hovered above them. These were the same living beings I had seen beneath the God of Israel when I was by the Kibar River. I knew they were cherubim, for each had four faces and four wings, and what looked like human hands under their wings. And their faces were just like the faces of the beings I had seen at the Kibar, and they traveled straight ahead, just as the others had. Shalom, Mom. Shalom. All right, y'all. Ezekiel chapter 11. Judgment on Israel's leaders. Then the Spirit lifted me and brought me to the east gateway of Yahuwah's temple, where I saw 25 prominent men of the city. Among them were Jezaniah, son of Azar, and Pelatiah, the son of Benaiah, who were leaders among the people. The Spirit said to me, Son of man, these are the men who are planning evil and giving wicked counsel in this city. They say to the people, Is it not a good time to build houses? This city is like an iron pot. We are safe inside it like meat in a pot. Therefore, Son of man, prophesy against them loudly and clearly. Then the Spirit of Yahuwah came upon me, and he told me to say, This is what Yahuwah says to the people of Israel. I know what you are saying, for I know every thought that comes into your minds. You have murdered many in this city and filled its streets with the dead. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says. This city is an iron pot, all right, but the pieces of meat are the victims of your injustice. As for you, I will soon drag you from this pot. I will bring on you the sword of war you so greatly fear, says Yahuwah. I will drive you out of Jerusalem and hand you over to foreigners who will carry out my judgments against you. You will be slaughtered all the way to the borders of Israel. I will execute judgment on you, and you will know that I am Yahuwah. No, this city will not be an iron pot for you, and you will not be like meat safe inside it. I will judge you even to the borders of Israel, and you will know that I am Yahuwah. For you have refused to obey my decrees and regulations. Instead, you have copied the standards of the nations around you. While I was still prophesying, Pelatiah, son of Benaiah, suddenly died. Then I fell face down on the ground and cried out, O sovereign Lord, are you going to kill everyone in Israel? Hope for exile Israel. Then this message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, the people still left in Jerusalem are talking about you and your relatives and all the people who are in exile. They are saying, These people are far away from Yahuwah, so now he has given their land to us. Therefore, tell the exiles, this is what the sovereign Lord says. Although I have scattered you in the countries of the world, I will be a sanctuary to you during your time of exile. I, the sovereign Lord, will gather you back from the nations where you have been scattered, and I will give you the land of Israel once again. When the people return to their homeland, They will remove every trace of their vile images and detestable idols, and I will give them singleness of heart, and I will put a new spirit in them. And we see this quite a few times because we know that Yahuwah's people are an adulterous people who loves idolatry, right? In order for him to give you a heart of singleness, it would mean that at the current moment, your heart is not single, right? You have too many lovers. He said, I will not reside there, right? Only me. So, and clearly we can see that all the way through. His constantly talking to them about their adulterous behavior, right? And I will give them singleness of heart and put a new spirit within them. I will take away their stony, stubborn heart and give them a tender, responsive heart so they will obey my decrees and regulations. Then they will truly be my people, and I will be their God. But as for those who long for vile images and detestable idols, I will repay them fully for their sins. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. Yahuwah's glory leaves Jerusalem. Then the cherubim lifted their wings and rose into the air with their wheels beside them, and the glory of the God of Israel hovered above them. Then the glory of Yahuwah went up from the city and stopped above the mountain to the east. Afterward, the spirit of Yahuwah carried me back again to Babylonia, to the people in exile there, and and so ended the vision of my visit to Jerusalem, and I told the exiles everything Yahuwah had shown me. Last chapter for the day, y'all, Ezekiel chapter 12. Signs of the coming exile. Again, a message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, you live among rebels who have eyes but refuse to see. They have ears but refuse to hear, for they are a rebellious people. So now, son of man, pretend you are being sent into exile. Pack the few items an exile could carry and leave your home and go somewhere else. Do this right in front of the people so they can see you, for perhaps they will pay attention to this, even though they are such rebels. Bring your baggage outside during the day so they can watch you. Then in the evening, as they are watching, leave your house as captives do when they begin a long march to distant lands. Dig a hole through the wall while they are watching and go out through it. As they watch, lift your pack to your shoulders and walk away into the night. Cover your face so you cannot see the land you are leaving, for I have made you a sign for the people of Israel. So I did as I was told. In broad daylight, I brought my pack outside, filled with the things I might carry into exile. Then in the evening, while the people looked on, I dug through the wall in my I dug through the wall with my hands and went out into the night with my pack on my shoulder. The next morning, this message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, these rebels, the people of Israel, have asked you what all this means. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. These actions contain a message for King Zedekiah in Jerusalem and for all the people of Israel. Explain that your actions are a sign to show what will soon happen to them, for they will be driven into exile as captives. Even Zedekiah will leave Jerusalem at night through a hole in the wall, taking only what he can carry with him. He will cover his face, and his eyes will not see the land he is leaving. Then I will throw my net over him and capture him in my snare. I will bring him to Babylon, the land of the Babylonians. Though he will never see it, he will die there. I will scatter his servants and warriors to the four winds and send the sword after them. And when I scatter them among the nations, they will know that I am Yahuwah. But I will spare a few of them from death by war, famine, or disease, so they can confess all their detestable sins to their captors. Then they will know that I am Yahuwah. Then this message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, tremble as you eat your food. Shake with fear as you drink your water. tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says concerning those living in Israel and Jerusalem. They will eat their food with trembling and sip their water in despair, for their land will be stripped bare because of their violence. The cities will be destroyed and the farmland made desolate. Then you will know that I am Yahuwah. A new proverb for Israel. Again, a message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, you've heard that proverb they quote in Israel. Time passes and prophecies come to nothing. Tell the people, this is what the sovereign Lord says. I will put an end to this proverb and you will soon stop quoting it. Now give them this new proverb to replace the old one. The time has come for every prophecy to be fulfilled. There will be no more false visions and flattering predictions in Israel, for I am Yahuwah. If I say it, it will happen. There will be no more delays, you rebels of Israel. I will fulfill my threat of destruction in your own lifetime. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. Then this message came to me from Yahuwah. Son of man, the people of Israel are saying he is talking about the distant future. His visions won't come true for a long, long time. Therefore, tell them this is what the sovereign Lord says. No more delay. I will do now everything I have threatened. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. And that is the end of our reading for today, beautiful people. Shalom, Bonnie, shalom. All right, y'all. That was Ezekiel 10, 11, and 12. So let's first pull that back a little bit. Let's hop back on over here to Fossilized Customs, where we left off at on yesterday on page 294. So remember, we were still talking about the Nicolaitans and their mind strongholds, the mental strongholds, right? So I'll read the last sentence that I read yesterday. Nicolaitans are very concerned about control, and once they have power, they seek to keep it. Mark chapter 9, verses 33 through 35. And they came to Kephar and Nahum, and having come in the house, he asked them, what was it you disputed among yourselves on the way? And they were silent, for on the way they had disputed with one another who was the greatest. And sitting down, he called the 12 and said to them, if anyone wishes to be first, he shall be last of all and servant of all. To attempt to be first or foremost means we attempt to usurp the position of Yahuwah. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 24. But let him who boasts boast of this, that he understands and knows me, that I am Yahuwah, doing kindness, right ruling, and righteousness in the earth. For in these do I delight, declares Yahuwah. Lost Lunas Covenant Stone, an ancient artifact of Israel found in North America near the Rio Grande, or the Rio Grande. Not particularly sure. I've heard it pronounced both ways. I think it's the Rio Grande, though. I think the E is silent. The photograph below shows the Ten Commandments written in the primary or Paleo-Hebrew script, written on a large stone found in the 1800s at Los Lunas, New Mexico, near the Rio Grande. So I'm going to show this to you. Make sure you can see it. Make sure it's focused. And on it, you can clearly tell the Paleo-Hebrew letters. Okay. All right. This stone carving could be 3,000 years old, and it contains the name Yahuwah. It was written in obedience to Deuteronomy chapter 6, as we are to write them on our doorposts and on our gates. This stone was at the entrance to an ancient colony or settlement of Israelites that had navigated up to the Rio Grande. The style of letter, yod, used on a stone indicates that the Israelites of the northern 10 tribes, or the Samaritans, were in North America. It could have been inscribed on this stone as early as the 9th century BCE during the reign of King Solomon, or as late as 146 BCE when the Carthaginians or the Israelites were conquered by Rome. Many diasporas occurred, but we now know that Israel was mostly a sea empire and they were mistakenly called Phoenicians by the Greeks. Yes, the Phoenicians were Israelites. They didn't call themselves Phoenicians. Herodotus, 5th century BCE, called them that. The Israelites traveled the oceans of the world as they mined tin, copper, gold, and iron. Did you know that the distance from the western coast of Africa to South America is less than the length of the Mediterranean Sea? That I knew, right? Not that I like knew, but there were just some things that I began to think about, right? Like, how do you get, when I started seeing they were, and it was on new, you can actually go look it up if you haven't seen it already. With some of the indoctrination that they teach you, you would think that Africa is so far away, but it's really not, especially when we get sand over here from the desert over there doing a good windstorm. Like, how does the sand make it across this huge, vast ocean? Really? This is sand landing in Texas and in some of the other places along this border. It is coming from Africa, right? You know, it's coming from Africa. Y'all just go look into that. The Israelites traveled the oceans of the world as they mined tin, copper, gold, and iron. Did you know that the distance from the western coast of Africa to South America is less than the length of the Mediterranean Sea? Columbus didn't discover the Americas. Israelites were already living here, and many became what we are now referred to as Native Americans. Here is a large stone found at Los Lunas, New Mexico, with the 10 Commandments written in ancient Hebrew. And I just showed you the stone, it's the same stone, right? So remember, we talk about it all the time. So even when you have the fighting between the brethren, right, where they say, well, we're originally from the Americas, this is our land, and then you got the other brethren arguing with them, no, we not. We from Africa. We from over here. But there's a bit of truth in the both of it, right? Because you have to remember that the 10 tribes were scattered first, way before the southern kingdom of Judah was, right? So they were in fact here. They just forgot how long they've been here, and they've assimilated with the natives of this land, right? So they think that they are the natives of this land, right? And somewhere throughout time, they forgot, or the information was not passed down to most of them. But some of them actually know, right? That happened to us in Grenada. A guide told us it happened there. Yeah. With the sand and stuff coming from Africa, right? Yep. All right, y'all. Transliterating Yahusha's name. Detailed transliteration study on the name of Yahusha. Yod He Ua Shin Ayin, the name above all names. Again, in parentheses. The Mashiach's name is found 219 times in the Tanakh. The 2 Hebrew spellings used for the son of Nun, or son of Nun, a leader of the tribe of Ephraim, we find in the concordance are numbered 19, Strong's number 1954. Hey Ua Shin Ayin, rendered in the KJV as Hosea. That you can find that in Deuteronomy 32, verse 44, and O'Shea in Numbers chapter 13, verse 16. Yeah, they call it Sahara dust name, but thank you. Strong's number 3091, Yod He Ua Shin Ayin. This spelling is found 216 times, rendered in the KJV as Joshua. In another 2 instances in all of Scripture, it is spelled Yod He Ua Shin Ua Ayin, or Yahushua. An interesting verse pertaining to the name change of this son of Nun is found at Numbers chapter 13, verse 16. These are the names of the men which Moses sent to spy out the land. And Moses called O'Shea, the son of Nun, Joshua. In the above verse, you can see the concordance numbers embedded in the KJV English. The Hebrew root Yasha means to deliver, and the root of the name of the son of Nun, Husha, Strong's number 1954. Hold on. Let me read that again. The Hebrew root Yasha means to deliver and is the root of the name of the son of Nun, Husha, Strong's number 1954. In two places, we see the letter Ua between the Shin and at the end of the name. The only change Moshe gave to his name was the addition of the letter Yod, causing the name Husha to become Yahusha, meaning Yahuwah, I am your deliverer. The Mashiach and the son of Nun have identical spellings, Strong's number 3091, above, as is evidenced by the fact that their spellings use the same Greek letters, Iesous, word number 2424. Reference to the man called Joshua is found in only two places in the Taya Brit Hadashah or Hadashah, Act, which is the New Testament, the Brit Hadashah, right? Acts chapter 7, verses 7-45, and Hebrews chapter 4, verse 8. Acts 7, verse 45 is, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Joshua into the possession of the Gentiles. Then it goes to Hebrews chapter 4 and 8. For if Joshua had given them rest, then he would not afterward have spoken of another day. Many transliterations of the Mashiach's name are used. Among the most popular of them are Yahusha, Yeshua, Yeshua, Yehoshua, Yahushua, and Joshua, whose name was originally spelled as above, only without the Yod at the beginning. Moshe added the Yod to his name, which was originally Husha, Hey Uwa Shin Ayin. Acts chapter 7 and Hebrews chapter 4 use the same Greek letters for this man and our Mashiach, which we know is Yahuwah, right? So when you're referring to Yahuwah as Yahusha, you're simply, Yahusha it's a name, but it's also a title for Yahuwah because you have the Yah, and by adding the Shua on the end of it, which means salvation, you're saying that he is my deliverer. You, Yah, are my deliverer. Yahshua, right? Or Yahusha. Moses added the Yod to his name, which was originally Husha, Hey Uwa Shin An. Acts 7 and Hebrews 4 use the same Greek letters for this man and our Mashiach. The letter W or double U did not exist on earth until the 13th century, so it is impossible for it to be used So it is impossible for it to be used honestly in the name Yahuwah. Yod He Uah He, no letter W. In the name Yahushua, Shua or Shah is the root Yasha, Yasha, right? Meaning to deliver. Shua and Shah mean the same thing, to deliver. Yahusha is Yod He Uah Shin Ayin. Yahusha would be spelled Yod He Uah Shin Uah An. Yahusha and Yahushua both mean Yahuwah, I am your deliverer. There is a man named Shua in scripture. 1 Chronicles chapter 2, verses 3. Shua, the Strong's word, 7770, and the letters are Shin U An. Another example is Malchishua, 1 Samuel 31, verse 2, and his word Strong's number 4444. And the ending of this man's name is also spelled Shin Ua An. In 216 places out of 219, there is no letter Ua used between the Shin An and the name for the successor of Moshe, meaning Joshua. But there is a Ua following the letter Hey in Yahusha. So Yahusha is the preferred way of rendering the name in English letters. The letter Ua has been the most mysterious for many people for a very long time, and it renders the meaning of our and your to the word in a plural sense. A yod at the end of a word means my, as in the word for my teacher, usually seen written rabbi because the Greek alphabet has no letter Y. Pronounce the letter Ua like this, ah. So pronounce the letter Ua, in Hebrew, the Ua is actually spelled U-A-U. So remember, in Hebrew, they don't call their letters like by their names like in the English, or in the English, we have Latin alphabet, right? And we call them A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Hebrew doesn't do that. They actually, the names of the letters are their sounds, right? Or how you pronounce them. So pronounce the letter Ua, U-A-U, like this, and he has O-O-O--A-H, So Yahuwah or Yahuwah, right? It's letting you know that Ua makes the ooh sound, right? This letter is commonly known as Wa, W-A-H, the sixth letter of the Hebrew Aleph Beth. Our Mashiach's name, Yahusha. The first part is not in question, Yahu. This requires our close attention. Is the pronunciation Shua, or is it simply Sha? Both are from the root Yasha. The root Yasha means to deliver, Sha. Let's check out the correct Hebrew names of two prophets, Isaiah and Elisha. Note the root Yasha. Yasha Yahu, Strong's number 3470, means Yah has delivered. Yasha, Strong's number 3468, means salvation, deliverance. Adding Yahu to Yasha add Yahu to Yasha and you have his real name. Elisha, Aliyasha, Strong's number 477, Owl of Deliverance, or you hear it mispronounced L, right? E-L, but it's actually all, A-L, All of Deliverance. So Elisha has the same ending, Shah, as Yahusha. We have been ending his name with Shua. How is this written in Hebrew, and does it have a meaning? Shua, S-H-U-A, which is Strong's number 7768, means cry for help. Ali Shua, Strong's number 474, means Owl of Riches or El of Riches, God of Riches, right? That's what Ali Shua means. Strong's number 474, Owl of Riches. To get to the pronunciation Yahushua, we insert an Ua between the An and the Shin and spell his name in Hebrew, Yod He Ua Shin Ua An. Yahushua is seen twice out of the 219 times in the Tanakh. So both Yahushua and Yahusha are acceptable transliterations. And I know this might be sound like, what? Blah, 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 blah. What? So you might have to listen to it a couple times or actually go look it up. I found that when you actually go look it up, look up the Strong's letter, so you get you a good Bible where you can, electronic Bible where you can click and it'll take you right through the etymology. After you read over it and see exactly what's happening, it's easy to understand. It's like, oh, okay, clearly people, like, when you actually take the time and go through it, understand what's happening and how it's been mispronounced, misspelled, it just, trust me, it begins to make sense. It begins to make sense. Okay. Yahushua is seen twice out of 219 times in the Tanakh. So both Yahushua and Yahusha are acceptable transliterations. Yahushua and Yahusha. Shua and Shah both contain the Hebrew root Yasha, meaning deliverance or salvation. Both spellings, Yahushua and Yahusha, are endorsed by the inspired text concerning the specific number of uses of the spelling Yahushua, Yod He Ua Shin Ua An, using two-letter uas. There are exactly two instances in the Tanakh referring to the successor of Moshe, Joshua, in the KJV. The two uses of this six-lettered spelling are in fact found at Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 21, and Judges chapter 2, verse 7. Even in these books, both variations in spelling are found. In these two books alone, this name was used with only one ua in the following ratios. Kathy Shalom says in Deuteronomy chapter 7, 7 to 1. Oh, I'm sorry. He's given the ratios of the whole chapter. In Deuteronomy, the ratio is 7 to 1. 7 times the spelling was Yod He Ua Shin Ain, which renders the sound Yahusha, and 1 time Yod He Ua Shin Ua An, rendering the sound Yahushua. Judges, the ratio was 5 to 1. 5 times the spelling was the 5-letter Yod He Ua Shin Ain, which renders the sound Yahusha, and the 1 time Yod He Ua Shin Ua Ain, which renders the sound Yahushua. The overall ratio, 216 to 3. 216 times the spelling in the Tanakh was Yod He Ua Shin An, and twice it was Yod He Ua Shin Ua An. In one place, Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 17, the name is spelled Yod Shin Ua An, Yeshua, just the Y apostrophe, Shua, right? 216 times found Yahusha, 2 times found Yahushua, 1 time found Yeshua. That's the one with the apostrophe. Y apostrophe Shua. And that 1 time is found in Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 17. The word Yeshua, Yeshua, is found about 28 times. Because these are used in scripture, all are acceptable. They are equally correct and have the same meaning. Scripture uses the 5-letter form 216 times, but we need to acknowledge the other 2 forms as well. The shortening of a name is called a hypochorisma. The hypochorisma or diminutive form of Yahusha is Yeshua, or it's like a hypochorisma is like an abbreviation of the name, right? So I read it again. The shortening of a name is called a hypochorisma. The hypochorisma or diminutive form of Yahusha is Yeshua, right? Okay. The vowel pointing of the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th century Masoretes set out to alter the pronunciation of the name. They were about 2,300 years from removed in the time from Moses. So even if they wanted to, they could not possibly improve on the Hebrew letter sounds as they are written without their Nikud markings. Hebrew letters such as Yod, He, Ua, and Aleph are vowels already. One spelling to examine closely is at Zechariah chapter 3. The Hebrew word Strong's number 3091 used in these texts is Yahusha. The KJV concordance numbers are embedded to help you with your further study. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 1. And he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of Yahuwah, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. Strong's number 3068 above should be rendered Yahuwah, not Lord. So I'm going to show you. Maybe you can see it. If you have a Hebrew Greek or a concordance type Bible with the Strong's number, this will look familiar to you. So I'll show it to you. You see, it has all those small numbers up beside it. So if you ever, if you just read Bibles and you didn't know what that was for, you can actually either manually take out the concordance or Hebrew Greek study Bible, and you can go to those numbers and it'll take you to that word in Hebrew or in Greek, whichever one it derives from, and it'll give you an etymology of the word and how that particular word was used in exact same context like it was used in this particular scripture throughout all the scriptures, right? But if you have an electronic version, you can get it done a lot faster and it's a lot easier because all you have to do is tap the number and it'll take you through the whole etymology, right? So just in case you didn't know, you should just go play with it sometime. Bettina, hey sis. Translators have modified the text with words from a wide variety of other languages between the Hebrew and English, such as the term angel seen above, which is not English, but Greek. The rendering Joshua is not very close to the transliteration Yahusha either, but they completely obliterated the name Yahuwah when they substituted the letters Lord, Lord. This is where the personal research into the truth of the name begins. If they will lie about the name of the one we serve, then they will lie about anything. We must be overcomers to be found doing what our Messiah expects of us until he comes. Below, we'll look at two different translations of Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. The Greek text has a word which both versions overlook. Greek number 4413, protos, Protos, which literally means before or prior to. Proto, Proto, implies that something comes before. Yet the translators overlook the fact that when a person actually reads what they wrote, it makes no logical sense. They also added the words on, O-N, and day, D-A-Y, to the KJV, enhancing the error. It isn't possible for the disciples to come to Yahushua on the first day of Matzah and ask him, where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat? Where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat the Passover? Passover would be over already. Remember, a few months back, I talked to y'all about that mistranslation. You can read it in the New Testament and Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And I was like, if you don't actually observe, and this, a lot of stuff he's talking about, I don't think they really understand or even begin to understand that something is wrong until they actually begin to literally keep the feast, right? So if you begin keeping the feast, you know that Passover comes before unleavened bread, right? So after a couple of years of doing that and going read through the New Testament, that will stand out to me. I'm like, wait a minute, what? They said it was already, now scripture tells you, you can go look it up. It tells you that it was already the first day of unleavened bread when they went to JC and asked him, where do you want us to prepare the Passover meal for you? And it's like, skirt, wait a minute, what? You're already in the first day of unleavened bread. And you would be looking like, you already in the first day of unleavened bread. Why are you asking him that? Passover has already passed. Like, they would have already eaten the Passover meal. You see what I'm saying? But if you're not keeping the feast, there's like some of those little things that is impossible for you to catch. Like, nothing would ever go off as sirens on the inside of you, because there's nothing in you to attach you or to alert you that you have just been lied to or something is wrong here. So a lot of times on some of the things that I talk about that I experience, I'm like, guys, I didn't really start understanding a lot of this stuff. I really didn't even begin to understand that there were actually contradictions in the Bible until I actually began keeping the feast, like Yahuwah said. Because first of all, I just started keeping it because, okay, he said we're supposed to be doing this. Okay, so it's just like, okay, well, how do we do it? Okay, we're supposed to just do this. Like, at first it was just like robotically, okay, just making sure we do this right. Okay, we're supposed to keep it. We're gonna keep this, right? And it be some people don't even get past that point. It's like, okay, we're supposed to be doing this. You're doing it wrong. Do we supposed to add eggs to it? Where the freaking egg come from? Who? I don't read anything about a freaking egg. Why y'all got eggs with Passover meal? Like, all these things. The first few years, and it was really frustrating watching other people. You're doing it wrong. You're supposed to be doing it this. I was like, wait a minute. You know what? This is becoming a bit much, but I want to do what's right. So it look like y'all adding stuff to me. So just for now, until I can understand what's really going on, I'm just going to keep to it exactly how it says here without all the extra adding, because what I understand at this point, because I was trying to explain it to me, you mentioned the Talmud. What is the Talmud? That's when I learned about the Talmud. What's the Talmud? What is that, right? That's when I began to find out about this extra book that Orthodox Jewish people read out of to actually interpret Torah. I'm like, where are we supposed to be doing that? And why are they adding all this extra stuff? Like, it actually begins to impose other rules and stuff on you. So I was like, you know what, this is too much. I ain't doing all that. I'm like, but Father, if I'm supposed to, I will. I was like, but it seems like, I don't know, it seems like what they're saying is making things harder, which is why I understand why people are like, look, y'all doing too much. That's done away with. Jesus paid it all. And they just go, I get why some people do that now, because they start looking. I was like, oh, wait, no, because I don't even see that anywhere. So why do we got to do that again? I get that. So once I began to ask questions, I began to find, I was like, oh, so you looking from a different, but I looked, I was like, okay, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm not saying that that's wrong at this point, because I really don't know. I'm still trying to figure all this out. But I'm just going to keep to this right here, what I can see. And as I do this, right, I'm sure if I'm supposed to be doing all this, because my heart is right and I really want to do what's right, I'm sure he'll help me to adjust. And that's just always been my thinking. Okay, clearly, whatever he asks us to do is not supposed to be strenuous or just hard, like, oh, you're just adding burdens to my life, because anything that he gives to us leads to life. That's what I began to. I was like, okay, so it leads to life, and it shouldn't be hard. Granted, we have to make some decisions in our life, which would seem to be hard, especially if we're in a habit of doing something wrong or doing something that our flesh has become accustomed to, which is not necessarily on Yahuwah's list of good things of what we should be doing, right? So once you realize that and realize, okay, I'm the problem here. It's like yesterday. Once you realize you're the problem, you can actually begin to see through the light of day and just kind of, okay, let me calm down, right? So I say, just like yesterday, my son came down here, Jeremiah, my 17, well, he's 17. He's 18 now. He asked me, he said, Mom, he said, okay, I think I see what you mean, because sometimes he can be a bit overly zealous about some stuff. He's like, okay, when you say it like this, we got to do it this. I'm like, okay, Jeremiah, listen, you got to calm down. Okay. So there is, So everybody have different things that they may struggle with, right? So he asked me, he said, okay, he said, if there's something that you're struggling with, and he said, what's the best way to get over that struggle? I said, well, it depends on what type of struggle it is, if you don't mind me asking. And so he just kind of looked, I said, so I'll tell you. I said a lot of times he didn't necessarily give me any details. It seemed like he was just asking like just or roundabout, but I know my son. I said, okay. And I just kind of broke it down. I said, well, I said, if the struggle is the flesh, I said, take for instance me. I said, if the struggle is the flesh, you getting your flesh to submit to your spirit, the best way to do that I found is fasting, right? Because the flesh, I say, remember, and I kind of use like because I got a bunch of boys, right? We love superhero Marvel movies, right? I said, your spirit man is driving this avatar of yours called the flesh, right? And so, your mind or your spirit is constantly at war with your flesh. Like your spirit want to do what's right, but your flesh is like, I want to go do this. Let me do this. So in your mind, or your spirit, you got all the good intentions. Yes, we're going to do this, but then you find yourself at this crossroads or coming up upon these tests. And when you get to these tests, you really want to do what's right. And you're struggling to do what's right. And you tell yourself, we're going to do what's right. But sometimes the flesh wins that battle because it has been out of pocket for so long, right? And your spirit is up there in your body trying to control this avatar of yours, and your avatar has gotten so strong in doing what it wants to do in life, whether it's feeding its face whenever it want to eat. I said, look at me. I said, you can tell that although I talk about fasting a lot, I said that is something I know that is possibly going to bring my avatar into its proper state. I said, because my biggest one is food. I said, and my avatar wants to do whatever the heck it wants to do. And so I'm constantly at war trying to get this monster under control, trying to control it. You're going to work out. You're not going to eat this. We're going to stop eating this late. And it's a struggle. It can be. I want to do what's right. I began to do what's right, but then you have those moments where the flesh is like, I'm sick of this. I want to do this. I said, and that goes for anything. I said that happens with people who have their avatar, and I talk to them like this, like their avatar could be addicted to drugs. This person's avatar could be addicted to porn. This person's avatar could be addicted to alcohol. And their spirit, they want to do what's right. You can tell they have good intentions, but they can't seem to get it under control. They're struggling. They're going to rehab, or they're doing things. They're trying to set up things to prevent themselves from going overboard, or relapsing again, or having these moments where after they done what they didn't want to do, now remorse is setting in and they're beating themselves up. I said, the only way, I said, there may be other ways. I said, but the only way that I know to combat this monster avatar we have and bring it under submission to your spirit is by fasting. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with everything in the New Testament. I said, but that one thing is true. Remember that story with the disciples? We talked about all this yesterday, me and Jeremiah. I say, remember the story in the New Testament when the boy was having the seizures and the disciples was trying to cast out the demon out of the boy, and they came and JC came and he came and did it, boop, and it happened. And he said, yo, my G, we've been here all day trying to heal this boy. And mind you, they pulled him to the side. They waited till the crowd was on. They said, look, how come you did that immediately? And we've been struggling, going back and forth, all us taking turns tag team, and we couldn't set this boy free. We couldn't heal him. We couldn't get him delivered. He said, look, this kind only comes out by prayer and fasting, right? Not necessarily, you can look at it both ways, right? Because in the in the story, you had somebody who was bound, and you had somebody who was said they was free, and they had complete control over their avatar. They had so much control over their avatar where their avatar could do supernatural things. It could walk through walls, it could walk into crowds and disappear. You just appear. What's up, my G? I'm back. Right? Yo, stuff like that. He had complete control over his avatar. Right? But if you read it, you will also see that he led a life of not just prayer, but also fasting, right? 40-day fast. There are principles that you can learn that will actually work if you test them, right? That's why I said don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Test everything, right? I said at this point, the only thing that I can tell you from my personal experience, I say, and you have to do it multiple times, not just one time and think, oh, I'm free. No, you're going to have to make it a lifestyle, a habit until your flesh absolutely knows that it is not in control of you. Right? I said, so now that you know what you're fighting against, whatever it is you're struggling with, you have to strengthen yourself. And the only way you're going to be able to strengthen your spirit to fight and to stand against your own flesh, to keep it under control or bring it into complete submission and under control, is to starve it of the thing that it is desiring to kill it, right? Whether it's food, pornography, idolatry, adultery, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, you have to starve this avatar from it, right? And add food to it. Starve it from food, like by using food, right? By using food in conjunction with starving it from some of the other things, it has this like, I would say, this multiplying effect where it would help to kill the what word the strength, so to speak, that your flesh has that constantly defeats you. It'll help to quickly kill all of those what word, like self-defeating type things where you keep finding yourself in the same predicament over and over again. I said, so that is the only way that I know at this point. Like I said, it may be other ways, but from what I've experienced and what I have put into practice right now, the only way that I know how to do that, how to get your flesh under control, is to starve it. Literally, not to starve, but literally to starve it from the things that is destroying it, or starve it from the things that it's causing it to be out of control, right? And to throw the spirit off, right? So he's like, okay, well, that makes sense. I said, you may not, I said water fast, but Jeremiah's already a pretty skinny dude, right? I mean, he's skinny, but kind of muscle. I said, you may not be able to do like a lengthy water fast. I said, what you can use, like coconut water, or you can do a juice fast, or you can do something shorter, but absolute, like a complete dry fast. But that you can only do in you can only do in shorter spurts, like 1 day, 2 day, 3 days. Some people I've seen did 5 and 7 days, but that's not something they jumped into. They've actually prepared their body over years as they've subdued their flesh over the course of time, constantly putting their flesh to death so that their spirit man can rule, right? And be more efficient and flow smoothly, getting this monster under control. So I was like, that is the best way to be able to do that, right? So I got into that because the last thing we said about, this last scripture over here about things, if you're not in a habit of practicing what Yahuwah has said, there's just some information that doesn't come to you. You just don't understand because you're not in a habit of practicing just the simple first thing he told you to do. So therefore, it's not even on your radar that you're running into things that are wrong, right? So and as you begin to do that, you just kind of grow at different levels, and where you can clearly see things where other things are really foggy to others, right? So let me read this again. He said, I just go back up. It says below, we'll look at two different translations of Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. After we read these two translations, this little part, we'll pause because we already like 59 minutes and 59 seconds. The Greek text has a word which both versions overlook, right? That's how we got into people overlooking stuff. Because if you're not in the habit of keeping Yahuwah's commands, you don't know that something is wrong. Therefore, you won't even ask the question. You don't know to ask the question to bring clarity. Wait a minute. You see what I'm saying? Okay. The Greek number 4413, protos, Protos, which literally means before or prior to. Proto, Proto, implies that something comes before. Yet the translators overlook the fact that when a person actually reads what they wrote, it makes no logical sense. They added the words on and day to the KJV, enhancing the error. It isn't possible for the disciples to come to Yahusha on the first day of Matzah and ask him, where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat the Passover? Passover would already be over. Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. And on the first day, and he's reading where it says, so y'all go check this out in your Bible. Is the first one is Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. And on the first day of unleavened bread, the taught ones came to Yahusha, saying to him, where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat the Passover? The KJV, the NASB, the NIV, and many others follow this. Matthew chapter 26, verse 17. Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? The recommended translation of this verse from the BYNV, and prior to the Feast of Matzah, this is what it should say. And prior to the Feast of Matzah, the taught ones came to Yahusha, saying to him, where do you wish us to prepare for you to eat the Passover? That's the BYNV version. Message to the scattered tribes of Israel. Genesis 49, 1 and 2. And Jacob called his sons and said, gather together so that I declare to you what is to befall you in the last days. Gather together and hear, you sons of Jacob, and listen to Israel, your father. Before you can fully receive this information, a certain blindness will have to be lifted from your mind. The tribes or the descendants of Israel don't know who they are because they have been scattered and are assumed to be lost. Also, the word Israel is often used to refer to the land or the state government. Israel is far more than a place or a government. It is a nation of people, families, clans, tribes who live in a covenant with Yahuwah. The lost tribes are their descendants living among the Gentiles, scattered upon the earth. A remnant will awaken and understand here in the last days. Romans chapter 11, verses 25 through 27. For I do not wish you to be ignorant of this secret, brothers, lest you should be wise in your own estimation, that hardening in part has come over Israel until the completeness of the Gentiles has come in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it has been written. The deliverer shall come out of Zion, and he shall turn away wickedness from Jacob. And this is my covenant with them when I take away their sins. The tribes of Israel are scattered across the face of the earth and are living as Gentiles, believing they are Gentiles, right? That right there also was one of the first things Yahuwah awakened me to, that I was not a Gentile. All the time growing up, I thought, because that's from the churches I was in, I was taught that we were Gentiles, right? When I actually descend from the blood born of Israel, right? The tribes of Israel are scattered across the face of the earth and are living as Gentiles, believing they are Gentiles. This is a stronghold or a false idea. Any stronghold is a false belief or notion. Strongholds can be broken by being exposed by truth, which sets us free. Once exposed by truth, the lies have no more power over us, right? That is the only thing. We talked about that a little bit the other day, too. The only thing that breaks us and wakes us up from our delusion is truth, right? Yahuwah says, my people perish not because of they don't have the blood. He said, my people perish. Those who are called by my name, my people perish for the lack of knowledge, right? And if we go back and we read through Isaiah and we read Isaiah chapter 53, Isaiah 53, the suffering servant chapter, where they alluded to be to the suffering servant, they alluded to be JC, which I said y'all just keep on read the whole chapter and you will see that that's not talking about woman, that is talking about the entire nation of people. The rest of the chapter will identify that. When it's taught in church, they say JC is the suffering servant. Absolutely not. They done taught you to, they've literally covered your eyes and kept you from reading what's literally right there in front of you. They told you what this says. And so while you're reading, instead of reading it for yourself, you're reading what they told you what was there, right? But until you keep reading, as they always stop at the same place, they never go through the entire chapter, right? Remember, it said, my people perish for the lack of knowledge. But if you read Isaiah chapter 53 and you keep going, you will see that the suffering servant will begin to set his brethren, his sisterin, Yahuwah's people free by what? By knowledge of the truth. Go read it. Go read it. Go read what it say. Go read what it say. Isaiah chapter 53, right? You're going to quickly realize that Isaiah chapter 53 was talking about the nation of Israel, the remnant of Israel who kept to the commands, and they began to teach their brethren, their sisterin, their brothers and sisters the truth about Yahuwah and his word and what he has said to us in the covenant that we are in with him. That's what sets our people free, right? Yahuwah said the blood defiles. He constantly said it all the way through, gave us examples. He said the blood defiles. Stay away from it. But people tell you, no, the blood saves. Well, Yahuwah constantly told us that it defiles, and he told us to stay away from it. People don't want to talk about it. But when you don't keep the commands, you don't know the ass about it. And it completely stays off your radar. And you begin to lose people because they have come to love their human blood sacrifice, right? Woo. Any stronghold is a false belief or notion. Strongholds can be broken by being exposed by the truth, which sets us free. Once exposed by the truth, the lies have no more power over us. The brainwashing and mind control stops, and we are set free. 2 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 4 through 6. For the weapons we fight with are not fleshly, but mighty in Yahuwah for overthrowing strongholds, overthrowing reasonings and every high matter, excuse me, and every high matter that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yahuwah, taking captive every thought to make it obedient to Yahuwah, and being ready to punish all disobedience when your obedience is made complete. People are not conscious of the fact that they are imprisoned in many layers of contrived thoughts that are designed to keep them controlled and in sin. They are mentally imprisoned by what they have accepted to be the truth. As long as they continue to believe the lies to be the truth, the fortress that imprisoned them will hold them securely. Yahuwah sets us free by guiding us into all truth, right? And we're going to pause right here. We'll read the we'll read this because it's going deeper into the second one. We'll save the second stronghold example for tomorrow, right? So we'll pause right here. Get my little sticky. All right, y'all. Put my page number. All right, beautiful people. So that's it. About a child is 100% defiant. I mean, do the opposite of everything you say. What do the words say about defeating that? Well, okay. How old is this child? And are they, yeah, I gotta ask some questions about that. Jatina said a child is 100% defiant. I mean, do the opposite of everything you say. What do the words say about defeating that? Now, when I read that, I wouldn't say that that's a younger child. I would say that that's a pre-teen. Okay, pre-teen. They smelling themselves. Okay, 10 years old. I would say, based on my own experience and actually observing some things. Hold on. Observing some things. I would say I need to ask a few more questions, even with the 10-year-old, because it's not just the child that I have to look at. I have to look at the environment that the child grew up in, right? An environment meaning, are they living? You said child, so this is your child. So the baby is living, I say baby, 10-year-old is living at home with at least one parent. Are both parents there? It would be my next question, right? And then when I ask that, then I would have another question. Okay, if both parents are in the home, what is the relationship like between mom and dad? What is the relationship between mom, dad, and the child, right? Is one more active, single child? Okay, grab the belt. Tony said grab the belt. Look, I was gonna say beat they tail, right? But right off top, it's like they tail. Better ride, spoil the child. But as I get a little older, I learned to ask questions. Like my household, granted, although it be wild kingdom around here, my children only know how far they can go, and they know how far to press their luck on some things, right? But seriously, if you want to like really look at it, not just beat them for every single thing, I would sit back and I would think, right? Because if they are, you say a child is 100% defiant. Okay. When you say, I would ask some more questions about, Tony said, grab the belt again. Okay, like seriously, some people may think like you're doing too much, but seriously, especially if it's a single parent home, right? So you got to look. There could be there could be a lot of things at play, right? And there's just a lot of things at play that you have to sit back and consider, right? Okay, so have you allowed? You're not saying these would be the questions I would ask. Okay, so up until this point, how have you disciplined your defiant child? Has this been a life where this child has been allowed to get away with everything that they want to do, even after like the early adolescent years where, you just kind of let them get away? Oh, that's so cute, when you should, no, we don't do that. You kind of begin to mold them from early childhood. Granted, some kids are going to test it, but see what I'm saying? Has it been a constant beat them, take things? you just you got to kind of think through the whole process seriously, right? Is it just that the child is just you stubborn? Is it a very strong-willed child, right? There's a lot of things you have to look at. Are they strong-willed? And sometimes you have strong-willed children just because of the nature of the person or who they're going to be. Their will is a lot stronger. They test you a little bit more. That's just it goes into the character of who they're going to be when they get older. They come into the world with that. You just have to begin to recognize it and begin to mold it, right? Begin to mold them. So before I know if you don't get not saying that you're angry or whatever, but if the parents don't learn to get their anger under control and like really begin to assess the situation, I say that you sit back, let your child do whatever they want to do, right? Discipline them, spank their tail, grab belt, whatever, however you do it, do that. But when you find out if it's something that it keeps recurring, I would really begin to ask questions. Okay, is the child acting out? Is the child really crying out for something more, but just really don't know how to express themselves? Like, you have to be on the lookout for all of these things, right? Are they crying out for something else? If it's a single parent home, are they missing the love of the other parent? Has it always been a single parent home? Did it just become a single parent home? Did the child even know their father? Are they with friends now? Because you got 10-year-olds where they starting to hang out, they have friends and they go into school, they begin to talk about each other, not they talk about each other's home life, whatever, but young kids, they just innocently share stuff. My dad took me here, this, your dad, I don't have a dad. Just all of these different things as they get into this age, right? At this age right here at 10, and you see it a lot. You see it a lot with single moms going through this because, I believe that too, Tony. It does matter what they eat because it will impact their behavior. But at this age, what's going on? Dad should be present, right? At this age, right? Because they're entering into early like the preteen stage, and they're getting a little more independence. And dad should be there to actually give them identity, right? Dad is, remember we talked about the other day, like mom is the nurturer. Mom is always nurturer, but dad brings identity and discipline. Not that mom doesn't discipline because she does, but dad is the one there who helps reaffirm. You hear it from mom all the time. Okay, mom, but when dad is there and dad is on his square, not that he's perfect or whatever, but dad is there and he's there like, baby, you are beautiful. You don't allow anyone to do this to you, this. Dad is there to help with them identifying who they are, right? So they know just some basic things. Yes, I am a female. I was born a female, right? I was made to love a man. And with men, son, I love you. You are a man and you are good enough, right? You are accepted. Those things are identity, because it's at this age when they begin to, they enter, it's like they enter into a whole nother world and they really need dad. And if dad is not there, say maybe dad have passed on, there should be somebody there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe an uncle, grandfather. A lot of times when dad is missing and if you have a support system, normally somebody at different stages in life, somebody normally comes along to help with things. But the first person, the one who should be there, should be dad, right? And so that's where a lot of times kids around about this age, when they start getting kind of mixed up into stuff and they start struggling with their identity, or was I really supposed to be born a boy? Was I born right? All these things begin to hit them at this age, right? And so sometimes they're struggling with things and they don't really know how to come talk to you. They just kind of act out. So that's why I say you got to sit back. You got to ask her if it seems like it's a constant thing. I ain't saying it's a one-off. Look, you knew better than that. I'm gonna whoop your butt, right? But if it's a constant, recurring thing, I would say it's a symptom of a deeper problem. It really is. And as a parent, you have to have foresight and have to be able to see that and kind of look here, like I said, sit back and assess the situation, right? I'm not sure how good the relationship is between you and your child. And if you can actually sit there, yeah, it's you and grandma. She's always been a single child that's been with you. Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens. Like it's I mean, unless he said it's a lack of siblings and the friendship thing. Okay, so if you're not having more children, maybe I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what y'all life is and like how much you work or whatever, or where you live, or if it's even possible, maybe getting involved in some things where she can meet other people or peers her age, where where it never really takes a place of a sibling. Like I don't know. You have to kind of find ways to, I mean, if you're not gonna go have another child, even if you did have another child, it still wouldn't be like her peer age. So yeah, I guess you just have to kind of find ways. Y'all gotta kind of come to a compromise, baby. I ain't having no kids right now, So let's see if we can help find you some friends, right? Maybe find out locally what they have going on. Some maybe like the youth programs, not necessarily that you got to go to a church, but like around here, they have like different things. They got like youth centers and like the YMCA have different programs where people all over sign up for. And other youth, they literally here in Hampton Roads, they got like this whole newspaper thing where they just have different programs where you can get involved in anything. So, I mean, if she's really looking for a friendship, um, I would kind of look at some of those things, but I would be very careful and make sure she's not linking up like with the wrong type of people who will become a bad influence, right? Because like I say, this tie right here is really kind of critical. And I know, I know mom and grandma, it's like we hear it all the time, especially with our people, mom and big mama and Medea, dad or is whatever. Sometimes they're there, but sometimes they could be there and actually not be active and present, right? But I don't know, I kind of tend to look at some of the underlying things and not just be ready to fly off the handle when things aren't going right, right? So when people ask me, like I said, I'm gonna just ask questions because that's not it's not normal and it's telltale symptoms of a deeper issue, right? So if you've identified that it's just a sibling thing, just kind of okay, baby, what you want to do? Well, I can't have any more kids right now, so let's look and see what type of programs. I guess is even a little harder now with the era of CV and the panorama that's going on in the world. I ain't trying to say code words are gonna cut me off. So just kind of look into it. Try to, especially if she's a girl, I got teenagers, but my baby girl is 4, so I ain't really hit them stages yet with females with that, but I see it, and sometimes it looks like horror stories. So I can't really tell you that from personal experience, but I know what I've experienced with my sons, and I know it's a little bit different, and girls are different, but personally, some of the things I share with my sisters because they have girls and they're in that age range and how they're in the preteens, teens, and they deal with some of those things with them. But I can only share you what they share with me. But I can only give you my perspective from how I've actually dealt with it, but with my boys. And like I said, they're different, But I think the underlying principles are the same, whether if it's male or female. But it really gets more personalized when you begin to look at the individuals, right? And you look at their surroundings, their whole family dynamic. Then you can kind of really fine tune it with precision and find out what's going on, right? So, yeah, I know, and it's hard to trust a lot of people. I feel you, sis. So like all of those things, yeah. Sometimes we overcomplicate things. Like my grandmother used to say, more strap and lots of love. Tony, you just woke up with violence and you want to beat everybody today. He said, pull out the belt again. She acting up, beat her again. And sometimes that works. Sometimes it's just they could be, but clearly right here we know that this is not that, right? She's looking for friendship, sibling. She's lonely, right? But clearly we know that's not that. But sometimes, sometimes it is they be rebellious. It's like they avatar warn against your avatar. It's like we do what we want to do. We don't care what you done say. We're gonna go do this, and they just gonna press the love. But clearly we know this. This is not the issue with this baby right here. So but yeah. Oh yeah, Jatina. She has a VR headset. She likes the VR chat. I don't like it because those kids curse and talk about sex. Yeah, I found that out, especially with my younger kids on Roblox. Like I have to be like, who is that? Who is you talking to? Because they got the headsets, and as they're playing Roblox, they can talk to their online friends or whatever, which I don't mind. But I'm like, let me take it out. Let me hear what y'all talking about, And so once I see the ads, like, now I don't hear my children cursing, or talking some of this stuff. He's like, oh yeah, Mom, I'm gonna leave out of this room because they curse a lot in here, So I'm like, yeah, see. So, because when I told them take it off and let me hear what you listening to, when they asked, oh, well, you know what? I'm not in this room no more. I'm gonna come out of this and we're gonna, So, But yeah, you're welcome, sis. Oh no, that's what we're here for, sis. Hey, I got kids. I know how it is. It could be tough sometimes, especially being a single parent. I was a single parent for a little while, I have sisters that are single parents, and I understand. So, but we're here to help one another, right? But yeah, so it's a day by day growth, and you really just have to be aware. And if you, like I say, if you can talk to your children, like if communicate, not saying that it is, but maybe somebody as they get a little older, and like I said, they feeling themselves, or they just think, oh, you just don't understand me, that happens. You just have to kind of sit back and sometimes not necessarily let them control the conversation, but kind of let them guide the situation. So first of all, they can feel comfortable and know that they can come talk to you and just kind of really tell you what's really bothering them. Because I find out a lot of times that teenagers, they don't necessarily all the time know how to convey to you what's really going on inside their hearts. And they find it difficult to talk to mom and dad sometimes. They may find it easier to go talk to an auntie or uncle or a cousin or something, or but it's no sound. No sound. You sure that's not yours? Maybe your sound went out. Jatina, you said he jumped in the room when her avatar was the devil. Sis is crying out. It's not funny. It's not funny. It's really not funny, Jatina. I didn't mean to make that a joke, but I feel you on that. I mean, it didn't shock me, but I got boys, and sometimes they just kind of do stuff like that. And they're kind of just, I don't really take it to heart. I'm like, oh, so you decided you want to be the devil today. Okay, why? Okay. Let me see him watch it. Satan, what you playing? You destroying everybody in the game today? What you doing? Like, seriously, I would not kind of, I was trying to put two words together. I would try to, and kind of, I try not to be so serious, but I really do try to be aware that sometimes life can be hard for our children, right? Because they dealing like with a whole different dynamic than what I dealt with growing up, and I was their age. Like they're really really in the communication information age where they're being bombarded with like electronic everything, to where it constantly keeps their mind in different places. And it can be, technology can be a blessing, but it can be a curse at the same time, because it can be very addictive, right? And for younger people, as you're beginning to mold them and as their personality is growing, those things can kind of be dangerous sometimes, especially if they spend it a lot of time on it, right? It literally could change behavior patterns and different things that literally kind of get cemented into their heads and into the fibers of their very being during those tender years. So you have to be careful, right? Now, my kids get more game time than what they probably should, right? My kids play games, they electronics. We the problem. We buy them the electronics, but I'm just saying just just gotta kind of day by day just learn to balance. When something is imbalanced, just kind of address it. I would say from what I learned, just kind of try not to let things linger on too long to where it builds up and it kind of gets out of hand, right? So be aware of what's going on in your home and be present with your children and what they're doing. Try to be more involved, right? Ask questions, sit down with them. Sometimes my kids ask us to play the game with us. Sometimes I'm like, I ain't playing no game, but sometimes I'm like, okay, Pam, it ain't about you, right? Sit down, play the game with her. Oh, mom, I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this. Show me what I'm doing now, right? But I think it's really, and that might help sometimes. Jatina, you say she like to be on the game or whatever. She's a gamer. I don't know. Maybe ask her like, well, till you find some friends, maybe I can kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Just, get creative. Your child says. You see what I'm saying, right? Okay. Yeah. Tony said, you think your kid's bad. You need to meet my nieces and nephews. My sister need a strap and a clip. But not and the clip. Yeah, but I feel you sometimes it's like, hey, ain't nobody listen. Pop, 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 pop. I wish I stayed in the hood. Boy, I probably been letting them off here. No, there she go. Sis need to get her anger under control. I'm not like an angry person, but sometimes boys will drive you to that. Look, my oldest son's wife and came in. Bro, she been present for some times where our son has committed shenanigans. Granted, she was right along with him. Like, kick him out the house, come out there, me and my husband, like, they got away for a weekend. They tell nobody where they was at. Like, Tara, you remember that day when y'all finally showed up? Like, we had to threaten. My Elijah 25 now. But at the time, how old was y'all, Tara? Y'all was 16? 16, I think, about 16, They driving age and stuff. They won't be grown. Go get a hotel out Virginia Beach now. We looking for them. They supposed to have been back. Cell phone cut off. First thing, oh my gosh, is my child dead in a ditch? And so I'm like, okay, something must be wrong because he wouldn't be pulling the scrap. His daddy ain't gonna go for this. But it's like, y'all ever seen that Sinbad comedy? He had a couple of them, but it was the one where he was talking about him taking a 5 o'clock whooping, right? I can't even comment because I'm in Facebook jail. Okay, so that's why she responded to me up here. She sent me a text. I can't even respond. I'm in Facebook jail. So but it's like that night, my son, he was like, and Booty was probably driving him. Young boy, stay out all night. Oh my gosh, all night long. I'm gonna take this 5 a.m. whooping. Our son chose to take that 5 a.m. whooping, right? So when we find out that they was okay, which wasn't until the next morning, right? And we think, we watching First 48, and I'm like, if he in trouble, we can't find Tara either. We done went to her folk house. She's almost, I told him to go home, all these laughy faces. Look, clearly, what you had was way stronger than the whooping he was going to get from us. Look, so fine. I was like, babe, I don't feel like something wrong. I said, but I don't know. I'm a mom. I'm in my emotions. Don't know where our son is at. Craziness be happening. He's 16 years old. This is not like him. He's never done. Granted, he pulled shenanigans, but nothing like this. So we didn't know whether to be scared or whether to be upset because he really had never done anything like this before, right? And not that was something that was really bad, right? But we just didn't know where our child was, right? And so I was like, I'm about to call the police. And I was like, Pam, wait a minute, just hold on for a minute. Before we do that, he said, because I think we might be overreacting, So he said, well, let's just go. He said, and let's just kind of go to some of the places where they be, right? And so we went to her folk house, the people we knew, any numbers we had. Have you seen Elijah? Have you heard from him? Called my cousin and stuff. And once all this kind of came out, what happened, my cousin that lives out of Virginia Beach, because she knew, but she was working at the hotel at the time and got these, I think she was the one that actually got these jokers the discount, right? And so, and I knew that they kind of talked to her a lot, but she was like, well, I ain't heard from them. And she said, Pam, she said, oh, I ain't want to lie to y'all. She said, but I didn't want to feel like I was betraying them. She said, but that's why I finally called you. She said, I couldn't do this. She said, you know what? You was my cousin first. It's your child, because if Amani or one of my children was doing something like this, I would not want y'all to withhold information, especially if y'all see I'm freaking out and I'm thinking my child dead or something, or might be, because we had called the jails too. Like, well, okay, so he not in jail. Ain't nobody pick him up or nothing, So like all of these things, just think about a parent, you don't know where your child is at, and just all of these things is happening. We going through all these emotions right now, right? And so when we finally, actually, we didn't find that out until I said, I was like, you know what? I kept calling the phone, and it wasn't until the next morning, because when the phone is off, it just go like right to voicemail. But then I'm like, okay, phone dead. Well, what if they like really like a hostage? Like, I'm all kinds of stuff going through my head, right? I'm like, okay, should I be calling the phone? Because what if he in a situation where he's trying to like get away and not call and the phone ring to give away his hiding spot or something? I was like, you know what, Pam? I was like, we about to call police. He said, just wait a minute. I was like, I don't really feel like something wrong, but I don't know. And my emotions could be out of whack, and I maybe I'm not really feeling what I should be feeling, right? So when I realized, after calling his phone like 20 times that morning, finally it started ringing. I'm like, oh, his phone ringing. He said, what, Jane? What is ringing? See if they pick it up. But it just kept ringing, right? So I'm like, okay, somebody has his phone, right? And so when Torah confession. Oh, now I think we ain't gonna beat y'all tails because y'all married now. She just sent me she said confession. We were actually, look, y'all, I'm gonna kill the both of you. Wait till I end this live. So now look, but we thought they told us they was in Virginia Beach, right? She just said confession. We was in Newport News, and I couldn't read the rest of the message. But finally, when we found out they were okay, and I was sending messages, I was like, I don't know. At first, I was like, Elijah, look, we're not mad. Just answer us. And all of those messages weren't working. Then I'm thinking, okay, somebody else has his phone. Somebody done picked it up. They found it or stole it. So I just like, look, I'm looking for my son. Whoever has this phone, I just need to know if he's okay. Still didn't get a message, right? And I'm like, okay, what can I send? Then my message was, I said, okay, forgive me if this is not my son that has this phone and seeing these crazy messages. I said, but if this is Elijah and you're seeing these messages, you got 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes to call me. Then we're calling the police and we are going to report you missing. And that did it. He called us. I'm like, and we went clean off. And then I hung up on him, right? James like, give me the phone. I said, I already hung up on him. And so we're at the house. And it was like, okay, what we're going to do when this boy get here? So now I found out he okay. Now I'm ready to kill him, right? I'm ready to kill him. Now I'm going off at the house, right? And James like, Pam, calm down. At least our son is safe. Who could have been way worse. I say, you know what? That ain't even a point. I said, why would he pull a stunt like this? So we was kind of going back and forth in our anger and what he was going to do when they finally showed up at the house. So when they finally showed up at the house within an hour, first of all, I was just shocked that he thought by Tara coming and I think Tara's cousin walking him to the house, that was going to lessen the whatever was going to happen at the Murphy household that day, right? So here they come. And if I remember correctly, I don't remember what he said, but I think he told him that he was gonna be all right. I don't remember. But anyway, here come all three of them waltzing. We tried to slide out quick. They sure did. They wanted to make sure he was there. Okay. Look, when they tried to back away, Jay's like, y'all two stay right here. Cause y'all need to know. And he just kind of went into it, right? So before we went out there, I was like, okay, so what we gonna do? He's like, first of all, I'm gonna take that GD phone. This is my husband, he was kind of going off a little bit, but he calmed down a little more than I did before they got there. He said, I'm gonna take that phone. He said, and I'm gonna smash it right in front of his face. I'm like, yeah, babe, yeah. I said, how you gonna smash it? He said, I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna throw it up against the wall right there. Like, we really, mind you, how old was Elijah? Like, we in our late 20s, right? We kind of still like babies ourselves. We just trying to figure this out. And this is our first child, right? So we just planning on what we're gonna do. Like, we was really gonna put on the show. So they got there and James just kind of went into it. He was like going off it. No, first, before he said, give me that phone. Tara said that phone throw sent me. She said, I was scared then. James took that phone. When he launched that phone, it was like the Hulk had threw that phone. When that phone hit that brick wall, it almost like disintegrated into pieces. Like the phone was like, why me, G? It just like broke all to pieces. So I was like, that phone throw sent me. And so then he kind of started going off on it. And like we was outside the house. So we could see neighbors coming out and stuff. And when my husband kind of get amped up, he just kind of get amped up. So by him getting super amped up, now I'm seeing neighbors coming out. They probably think it's about to be a fight. These niggas out here, we in the hood for real, right? So people peeking, I see the shades coming down, and some people coming out to walk their dog and stuff. Like, you don't ever walk your dog this early. Matter of fact, you don't even put your dog on the leash. I mean, y'all being nosy now. So I'm peeping all this stuff going on around and Tottenham and James like, no, y'all don't go nowhere. Because if he ever pull this, blah, 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 I'm gonna whip your mother. Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, shoot. And so I'm like, okay, how can I calm this down right now? I'm ready to kill him. But like, he going in. I'm like, okay, yes, baby.
I want some chicken.
Okay, hold on, Pooh. So, but yeah, guys, that was the gist of that story. Like I got a lot of stories. So Jatina says, at least she at 10. It's just kind of just, minor, right? Yeah, she said, I feel like kids sometimes think you're whipping them or yelling at them just because. And sometimes I just need to sit down and talk it out. Yeah, sometimes, just sit down and talk it out. Tara said, I thought I was never. She must not have finished the message. She said, I thought I was never going to see him again. Yeah, you almost didn't, sis. You almost didn't. Like, because I really didn't know. Because once James had got amped up, I'm like, oh, shoot. How do I deflate this entire situation now? Because this is not going like we planned. He like angry now, So fine, I'm like, all right, we're gonna y'all go ahead and go. We're gonna talk to him. They got out of there so fast. But yeah, Elisha didn't have a phone for a good little while. I think he was on punishment. I don't know. He was restricted to the house. If it wasn't going to school and getting back here, he couldn't do nothing for a while. But yeah, we have those moments, right? And especially if it's the first child and the only child, it's you're just kind of growing together, right? But here's something you should always remember, right? Your child is a human being. Not him. Still calling me from the house phone on the low. I believe it. Tara's feeling out. Where he at? He at work, so he don't know you over here telling on him. Look. So but it's just as they're growing and as they're feeling themselves, you have to realize that they're human beings too, right? They're people. They have their own personalities. They have feelings, right? So we try, as we grow, we're like, okay, they're people, you just can't really like just lord over them and just treat them like you're our slaves and stuff, right? We can't do that. We really have to treat them with mutual respect, but also we're also their parents, we're their guides, we're their teachers. We're literally preparing them for when they're going to be on their own. So sometimes Some of us have more trying times than others, but a lot of times the things that we have to deal with our children, what I found out is that a lot of times there are things in us that also need to be dealt with. And when we begin to recognize it in our children, we'll begin to recognize it in ourselves as well, right? So it's literally a growing process, and a lot of times a healing process for the both of you if you allow it to be, right? So children can be that's probably one of the best schools on earth, right? Which is probably why you would allow us to have children, right? Because you see how rebellious we are. He always told, look, all y'all getting out, I'm kicking everybody out. It's like that the same thing Yahuwah deals with us with, we have to deal with it in our children as well, right?
I look everywhere.
What? No, you did not.
Tony said, you better beat the H out of them kids. I'm about to go get me an iced coffee. Yeah, so sometimes that's the way dads be, right? And sometimes, that's why it's good. It's a good balance there, Like I said, we learn from one another, Everybody's
go get the strap.
Yeah. So Tony, he woke up with you saying, go get the strap. That and ain't really nothing wrong with that. But you can't always just like I say, you just can't beat them for everything all the time. Sometimes you really do have to sit down and talk about find out what's going on.
To beat me. Did you?
All right, y'all. So that's it for today. We are like really over our time on Monday today. Y'all gotta go to work. Y'all gotta go to work today. Right. All right, y'all. I love y'all. Let's end this. We ain't even do the blessing. But sis, this is a good chat, right? I enjoy it. Like, if y'all got questions, if I know, I'll share with y'all. Like, I'm not a philosopher or a doctor or nothing, but I will share my shenanigans stories with y'all on how we kind of try to keep things in order over here with all these personalities and people. It'd be wild kingdom. It really do. Go get the strap. All right, y'all. I love y'all. This is good. I really enjoy these little conversations. So let's do this blessing, y'all. Let me pull this up. Blessing.
You don't know the blessing, Mona?
Yeah, I do, but I like to read it. Okay, y'all. A recap. Guys, it's Monday, August the 9th, 2021, day 228 of years of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 897. We read Ezekiel 10, 11, and 12, and Fossilized Customs. We read pages 294 to page 299. The blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is a Nazarite vow. Man or woman can take it. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise you shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. That is it for today. I love y'all. I really enjoyed the conversation. Thanks for asking the questions, Tina. I really enjoyed it. I got an opportunity to share some more of my crazy household stories. All right, y'all. I love y'all. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace. All right, Tara, I'm about to FaceTime you. Oh, look, you missed it. Remember that remember that night they stayed out?
Oh.
Tara just said confession.